Marketing campaigns for sports supplements aimed at school children have recently been slammed by the South African Sports Medicine Association. President Dr. Pato Zondi joins us over Skype to discuss this issue further. Pato, thank you very much for joining us. You guys released a statement recently highlighting the issues that you have with these marketing campaigns. What exactly are they?
Well, Nick, perhaps I can take it a few steps back. We have a number of fundamental concerns with the use of supplements in the sporting population, as well as within recreational athletes. But this position statement was specifically released in response to a campaign that we became aware of that was happening at school level. And as you correctly said, it was a marketing campaign that's really aimed at school-going athletes or school-going children, and essentially indirectly and directly promotes the use of supplements for whatever gain. The problem we have is, multifold really. Firstly, just in terms of the safety and efficacy of supplements, I think it's very important that when these products are going to be marketed, the truth and the facts are really marketed with the sexiness of the campaign or the brand. And my concern is that we don't always tell the facts as they are. And really that is, we've got limited knowledge about the efficacy of supplements in general. In other words, how well they actually do work. Then there are a number of safety concerns that are very important. So firstly, what we do know is that supplements, by and large, are only tested in athletes over the age of 18. And really that's just for ethical purposes, So there are very few supplements, if any, that have been tested on healthy athletes under the age of 18. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up as an important distinction really is that even above the age of 18, we're very aware that there are some side effects associated with supplements, specifically those that are banned, like steroids and stimulants. And there are adverse health effects that these supplements have when taken, full stop, and specifically when taken in excess. If we know that this is applicable in athletes over the age of 18, it's very important then that we then begin to apply our minds about how different this could play out in an athlete under the age of 18 whose body is still developing, and whose organs have not reached full maturity. And what we know is that these effects are magnified and multiplied in athletes under the age of 18. Now there's banned substances, but also in non-banned substances, even in things like proteins. In immature organs, like immature kidneys that don't have the capacity to process these supplements or these products specifically, we need to be mindful of how these effects could be magnified in a young population. And then there's other risks associated with the fact that this group is under the age of 18. They also use different medications, things like Ritalin and Roaccutane. And because of a lack of clinical studies, we don't know how supplements will then interact with these medications. And we can assume, and safely assume, that they may be adverse effects.
But why are there limited results, or why is the research on this sort of age group so unknown? And where does the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport, what's their position on this?
So in terms of why there is limited research or evidence in this particular age group, when there's going to be any clinical studies done with any medication or supplements or products really, it needs to be ethically approved. Now, it would be very difficult to approve a study based on performance really. So in a healthy population, to test a drug or a product for a pure reason for performance. If you were testing it perhaps because you're testing it on a diseased population and there might be a clinical or health benefit or health outcome, then it would be easier to get ethical approval. So simply because it's difficult to approve the studies, you wouldn't have studies in this particular age group.
And the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport, they must have fine print of their own which sort of regulates this.
The problem, I think, extends beyond the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport. So what we do know is that the supplement industry is largely unregulated. And though there have been steps towards resolving this issue, by and large, the market or the industry remains unregulated, which means a supplement company or manufacturer doesn't have to prove that their product works and doesn't necessarily have to define and test their product in terms of efficacy, safety, side effects in this particular market. And therein really lies the risks and the concerns that we have as healthcare practitioners.